angels are the highest vibration of God light that we can access while in human body. And so there may be other higher frequencies, but we can't access that from this dimension that we're in. So angels are the closest to God, we could say, the highest frequency that can have interactions, physical, spiritual, emotional, with us while we're in body.
Hi, everybody. I am so excited to introduce Cyndy Green. Cyndy Green is a well-known spiritual intuitive and medium. She receives messages from angels, spirit guides, universal spirit guides, saints, family, friends, and loved ones who've crossed over, and many more. Cyndy has a plethora of gifts and talents, and I'm so excited to have her on the show because she's pretty well known and she's a pretty special human being. So thank you, Cyndy, for being here.
Thank you, Lisa, and everyone.
Cyndy, so let's just start off with the basic questions. Tell everybody exactly what you do.
Well, I do readings and I give messages, and we give medium messages, but just other kinds of messages too, just messages from spirit, messages from our angels, our guides. And then on top of that, I teach classes. I host an event in Oklahoma called the Spirit Fair, which is just a place where people can come and be in spirit energy, positive personal spirituality. So I do lots of little playful things all wrapped around spirit, spirituality, connecting with spirit in our own souls, and raising our vibration, and just all kinds of things like that.
Okay. So you kind of focus on angel messages.
Yes.
And
so
yeah. So can you tell us what are angel messages and what are billets?
Okay, so we kind of like a group gallery reading. So we just all come into a room and it's kind of like a lecture. Like I stand in the front and people are sitting in the back, sitting in the chairs. So it's like going to a college class or whatever. That's the setup. And then you come in there and then we pray and we call our angels, guides, our loved ones, people in spirit that love us. And then we write a letter to heaven, which is just a note. We write a note to heaven. And the note is really to focus, because our brains are pretty like, I want to know this, maybe this, blah, 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 blah. And so our brains kind of go all the way around. And so when we write it down, we're really focusing our thoughts, making it into a prayer, focusing thoughts, making it to a prayer, and calling God, calling spirit, calling angels. Please come and speak to me about this, whatever is heavy on our hearts at that time. And, I just give as many messages as I can in that hour or whatever our time frame is. And spirit just comes in my mind, comes in my thoughts. And then I try to bring a message through with that. And I've gotten good at it because I've done it a long time. But remember, I really never know 100% what the message is. Meaning, if I see a woman in spirit and I say like she's got apples all around her, apples, in my logical mind, I might say, oh, she's a teacher, because apples are a symbol of being a teacher. But for somebody there in the audience, they might say like, my grandma had an apple tree and she baked apple pies every Sunday or whatever. So I'm telling the messages or the pictures, but I don't necessarily know 100% what those are going to be. The people in the audience kind of have to, in their brain, go, what might that mean? A spirit talking to me? How does that apply to me? So it's sort of an interactive thing with me trying to be like this messenger, this telephone person, a telephone operator, and connecting this side to this side, and we try to hook it up.
And it's that simple, isn't it? And so how long have you been doing this work?
I've been giving angel messages probably about 35 years. So studying and everything, probably 40 years, but doing readings and messages, probably 35 years.
Okay, great. Okay, so I have a very crazy question. And I know it's not going to make sense why I'm asking this, but a lot of people don't know exactly what are angels. So what my question is, what is your definition of an angel?
Hmm. So, angels are the highest vibration of God light that we can access while in human body. And so there may be other higher frequencies, but we can't access that from this dimension that we're in. So angels are the closest to God, we could say, the highest frequency that can have interactions, physical, spiritual, emotional, with us while we're in body.
Yeah, I like that definition. That's a good definition. So what's a spirit guide? What's the difference between an angel and a spirit guide?
Okay, so it's really not this way, but we're pretending so we can kind of comprehend. So let's just say, like, here's God, then right under that's those angels, then right under there would be spirit guides under that. So spirit guides are helpers and teachers. We could say there are teachers and trying to encourage us and help us grow, help us become more light, help us become more angel like. Um, and the difference between that angel and that spirit guide is the angels, remember, they're the very closest to God frequency that we can understand, the brightest, the closest to God frequency. But the angels really never came down into physical body. So they stay in the light frequency. They only know light. Okay, so then the spirit guides actually came down closer to physical matter. Most of those spirit guides came down in a physical body and they're kind of moving that other direction. So we could say there's a little bit of a frequency difference between a spirit guide and an angel. And we can tell it sort of in the way when they're in our presence. Okay, so like you're upset today, you're crying, you're upset that you don't have rent. You don't have rent this month. And so you're heavy on your heart and you're crying, blah, blah. And an angel would be like this. An angel would come down and be like, Cyndy, be well. God loves you. And you're like, I know, but I can't pay rent. But angels don't have the knowledge of what it is to not pay rent. You see, I mean, they didn't come into this, and so they're just like, well, God loves you, and so why would you be crying? And well, kind of get this together. And a spirit guide is more like, oh, Cyndy, we're so sorry you can't pay rent. We're gonna, inspire you to get more money. So spirit guides, in some ways, they coddle us more.
Hmm.
Because they know what it is to be down in the dumps as a human. And the angels find that so different from their reality, so separate. They've never felt that sad before. They've never felt that hopeless, that doubt, that uncertainty, because in their frequency, God is all there is.
Okay. So is there a difference between loved ones, families, and friends that have passed over and spirit guides?
Yes. So the it's and we again we're just making it up. So we could just say like here's the earth plane, and then that first realm would be our dead people, our loved ones, family and friends. And that second realm up, that would be more like our spirit guides. That third realm up, that would be more like our angels. So it's kind of like a ladder of consciousness, but really it's a ladder of frequency, right? It's all frequency. And so we end up in a frequency vibration to where we can serve the most and grow the most.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So how did you discover your gifts?
Well, as a child, I was raised traditional Christian, so none of these words, I didn't know any of them. I didn't know psychic or spiritual or media. I mean, none of those words were ever in my reality. So just I was normal, other than I was very, very sensitive and I cried all the time. Very, very sensitive, over just crazy things like 4th of July fireworks, right? Because my aura is so open, those fireworks just like set you on fire. So like if I saw something sad, like it might take me 3 days to get over something sad. So I was different in my emotional body, but no one knew what to do with that. I mean, right? I mean, it's just, oh, you're a baby. Oh, you're. And so it was in high school when I met my one of my best girlfriends in high school, and she was Native American, and so she's the one who really exposed me to other spiritual ideas and understandings, and she's the one who really helped me take the journey down my own spirit path. Without her, I would never be here.
Oh, good, 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 good. So how did you develop your skills?
So I was very traditional Christian, and so a good jumping off point for that when you're 20 years old is to go to spiritualism, which is just another form of Christianity, right? So I was going to a spiritualist church, and probably about 1984, and which happened to be in Oklahoma City, which happened to have a Sunday service. And so from that place, they helped me figure out a foundation, we might say, and that is meditation. So from the spiritualist church, that brought me into meditation, which brought me to spirit circles, which brought me to personal development. I mean, and all the way down that journey.
Okay, good, good. So how can your gifts help people grow spiritually?
Well, I think the first gift that we get when we get any reading or message is that we're not alone. I think on earth plane, just we are an individualized pocket of God, right? So I'm this individual, you're this individual. And so we can sometimes let that feeling of aloneness or isolation or being different or weird get to us. And so the first thing I think in a reading is that I'm not alone, and they love me no matter what. They love me.
Yeah. And we understand that that's a big deal, especially for the
Mhm.
people that are not feeling loved or can't find the value of who they are as a human being. Yeah, that's really significant. So can you share your first experience that you had with an angel guide? Do
Mm.
you remember that far back?
I can't really remember that. Um, I don't know on that one, Lisa. My first, what I can remember being big for me was in that spiritualist church, and we were doing, like there was someone else there, a teacher, whatever. And so we were sitting in a circle, in a dark room, and we were just praying, calling our angels and stuff like that. Maybe there was like 10 of us. I mean, not a lot, but 10, 12, I don't know. And so we're all in a circle, and we've got candles, and we're praying and stuff. And we said, like, we would like our angels to come to us and let us know they're with us. That was what we were doing in this circle. And so then we're just still breathing and meditating. And then I felt energy move through me. And that was really powerful. And I mean, I was like so excited, and the feeling of it was so different to me. I just started to cry because that feeling was just like love. And it was almost like it was wind that went through me. And to be able to identify it at that moment, that we had called the angels, that the angels were with me, that I could feel them. That was super, super, super cool.
Mhm. So, how did you know that it was an angel that you were feeling, or did you just assume?
By the frequency,
Okay.
I knew, remember, because everybody kind of feels different. The dead people feel a little bit different than the spirit guides, which feel a little different than the angels. So by frequency, yes,
Yeah.
but I didn't get a voice at that moment.
Yeah.
I just felt this high frequency
Yeah.
move through me.
Yeah. And I think that that's important for people to know that are maybe trying to kind of find their way and trying to discern what's what. Because when I've had mediumship readings, the energy definitely feels different than when I'm in the Akashic records. And yeah, it's a little bit heavier. I can't understand. Can't really explain it. It may be a little bit like you can feel the vibration is different than it is of that higher vibration, which would be like of that angelic realm or the Akashic field. Just feels different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so the more that we get accustomed and attuned to our bodies and those feelings, then we can start discerning what's what.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So I'm going to jump in this crazy thing because as you were talking, and this is kind of going out of order, but you on your website, you have a lot of pictures of sessions and classes and different things that you do that have orbs. Let's talk about orbs. What are orbs?
Consciousness, right? So if we get out of the body and we don't have to have a physical body anymore, then we're just energy. So we're just a ball of energy, a ball of light. And so orbs are circles of consciousness, of light, of being. And so and for me, so you remember, I can't do all those things, like I can't take the picture and be in the picture and blah blah, but I can feel when spirit's gonna be in the picture, and I can be like, they're here, take the picture now, take the picture now. You know, you're feeling presence, and so then you know they're right there with you. In They've dropped down enough into our frequency that they would be able to be seen in photographs, right there. So they're allowing themselves to be in our space in such a frequency to fill the space, but that we could fill them. And so the orbs, sometimes there are angels, sometimes there are loved ones, you know, so it's just different. But and the color of the orb, I mean, so on the few occasions, and I'm saying few, like 10, we're going to say, on the 10 occasions that I've happened to get beautiful pink orbs, that was when someone called in Christ consciousness.
Oh.
And so that's been really interesting. So anyway, saying the way they show up differently, the patterns that are within them. So orbs are just consciousness, not attached to a body.
So can you visually see them or do you just feel them?
I feel. Now I don't see them.
Okay. Okay. So then after you take the photo and you can look at it, then you recognize.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Because there's lots of orbs out there.
And someone else's gift is they probably could see them. You know what I mean? But that's not the way my frequency's working.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So do we change angel guide? Well, first of all, do we all have angel guides?
Yes. So when we're born, we all come in with, you know, a hope, a vision, and a team, and the team's to keep us on track and as best as possible, because we are in a free will zone. So that means we can choose whatever we want to choose. So we come in, I would say generally people's got 2 or 3 spirit guides and at least one angel with them. So we have a small team, but there might be someone who really needs a lot of help, and maybe they have 4 or 5 spirit guides and 4 angels. You know what I mean? So it can vary. But in general, I would say we have 2 or 3 spirit guides and 1 angel with us all for the whole journey. And now then we can collect some, you know, like let's just say I start my journey, but in my 30s, I decided I wanted to be a scientist. Well, now maybe I collect some new spirit guide that's going to help me in science or help me, you know, down that journey. And then maybe I do that job 10 years and move on. Then that angel would move on to a different place where their science is much more usable, right? So the angels and guides and specialty areas, they try to come in and work with people who are pushing that energy to expand on the earth plane. And so if you're not doing it, they'll just go to someone else, you know, that's more able to do that, more willing, able, in the right spot, the right day to do that.
Okay, so what you're saying then is that as we go down our journey and our whether it's conscious or unconscious, as we shift through our journey, then our angels change. And so okay, so and you may have said this, so I'm may have you repeat. So do we have one specific angel or more that stay with us from the beginning to the end of our lives, our human lives?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So when we're born, that 1 or 2 guides and that 1 angel, they will be there with you the whole time. And they'll be the first ones that you're with when you cross over. I mean, they're going to be right there. These other angels kind of come and go, depending on our needs or what we're doing or what we're praying for. You know, God, angel, spirit, help me learn math. Well, then I might get a math angel or whatever. So, you know, they kind of come and go. But yes, we do have this pre-birth team that never, ever, ever leaves us.
Okay, so because I get asked a lot about names. Is there a reason? Do all angels have names, or or should we call them by a specific name? Is it necessary?
So all the angels in when they're working with us in 3D world, they're going to have a name, but it's simply really to help us identify them, because remember, in spirit world, frequency is your name, right? Frequency holds your name. So on earth plane, they do all come with a name, but it's really just to kind of help us identify them, help us match with them, help us call them. um it's for our comfort, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So, what methods do you use to communicate with your angel guides?
Well, meditation. You got to meditate, because you got to learn to be quiet and still and go within. And then in meditation, hopefully, we're doing something about energy healing, because it's really the auric field that we have to awaken and tune to spirit. Because on earth plane, at least here, we basically, when we're young, this auric field is open. But remember, our culture says, that's stupid, you can't believe that, you didn't see that, you're just making it up. So we shut down the auric field probably by the time we're 5 to 7 years old. And then we go around kind of like asleep, because I don't feel it, you don't feel it, I don't feel it. Okay, nobody feels it, right? Nobody's here. And so when we do our meditation and our energy work, we're vibing up our auric field, that we can feel what was always here and always was, but we just tuned it out. So we couldn't, we just went with the dream of everybody else that it's not real. And remember, before, and probably not that long ago, 200 years ago, logical mind was not the loudest voice in our head. 200 years ago, school and education was not much existent. And so, really and truly, our aura bodies and our intuition was huge in all humanity, and the tribal people and the uneducated people and the thousand, So, it's only recently that logic mind has decided it's king here in our country. And logic mind says, oh, you can't talk to spirit. Oh, that's not real. That's not right. Blah, 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 blah. So as this got bigger, our connections got smaller. And so this great wave we're in right now, we're trying to bring balance to the world by bringing balance back, that our logic mind and our creative spirit can coexist together, and we can be more awakened and more wise by both of those things happening, instead of letting one be the boss.
Yeah. So you mentioned this current wave that we're in now. And so what is your definition or explanation of this current wave?
I guess we would just say it's the great awakening, and maybe back, if we were to say, like in history, there was the Renaissance time, right? So we've had great awakenings before throughout history. And so I think this is the great awakening of the empowered, connected human being.
Yeah, I like that. That's perfect. That's a great explanation. So, as we begin to try to connect with our angels, or start becoming more familiar with the energy patterns that that we're feeling, and being able to define what they are there any signs, like are there specific symbols that somebody should look for, or is it a specific, like all of a sudden your body starts to feel different? I mean, what are the telltale signs?
Well, remember, we got to do our meditation. Everybody wants to skip that part because meditation's the most boring thing in the world, but we have to do it. We have to do it.
Yeah.
So, in once we're starting, first of all, right, we need to say a prayer. We need to have a call. Angels, I want to work with you. God, angel, spirit, I want to draw closer to you. I'm ready to have my angels come into my life and work with me and lead me and guide me in spirit. I want to know you. I want to know you on a deeper level. I want to know who I am and your purpose for me. So, we have to start with a call, some sort of intention, a call. And then after that, once we've put out our intent, and we should do it more than once, right? I mean, so a lot of times we go, well, I prayed that one day, one time. Okay, we got to pray it again and pray it again, right? I mean, so in prayer, remember, so here's earth plane. Here's earth plane in the wind and doo. Prayer does this, aligns us with God in the higher frequencies. And so if I prayed one day and it didn't happen, do it again, do it again, do it again, right? So we're trying to get out of the separated state of culture and of the wind and of emotions and mood and all these things. And we're trying to get in the column that is God light, in the column that is connected. And when we're in that column of connection, everything feels more alive than ever. Like you feel more alive, and the sunlight feels more alive, and animals or anything around us. So one of those things is our frequency feels more alive because we've aligned and with the intention of angels, and then they'll generally start giving us a sign that they're here. But for each and every person, it's a different sign. So one person, it might be a pennies from heaven that you're just finding random in the floor in the house, right? Or me, one of mine is bird feathers. I just find bird feathers all kinds of crazy places. And so last week, I didn't tell you this, Lisa, but I'm turned into the bird whisperer this year. I don't know how it's happened, but so like I've been doing some cool stuff with the birds. But about 2 weeks ago, no bird came to see me for a whole week. And I was kind of like getting depressed about that. And I was like, gosh, the birds, I've been such a whisperer for 6 months now. And then all of a sudden, which, gifts come and go, you know what I mean? So I was like, maybe they're gone. And then that day I did laundry. And when I changed the clothes out of the washing machine, there was a feather in the washing machine. So it washed through the whole cycle and everything and showed me it was there.
Oh.
So I love that. But to different people's different signs. And so it could be a song in your head that keeps repeating. Mm-hmm. It could be something you're seeing, a visual sign, like maybe your grandma had a certain kind of perfume, and now every commercial is that perfume, or you smell that, or so. Angels are giving us a sign, and it's up to us to kind of start to pay attention. What is strong in your field? Yeah. What is strong in your field?
Well, you're bringing up a good point about paying attention, because I have people ask me all the time, how do I become more intuitive? And my guides are always telling me, you're not seeing the messages. And like you said, it may be something as noticing the birds keep flying over, or, all of a sudden that color starts appearing. There's all of these different, it's that inner knowing that you have that you're choosing to ignore. It's that little voice that says, turn right, turn right. No, I'm not going to go right. I'm going to go left because that's my plan. All of these little subtle things that are within us or surrounding us that we just are ignoring because we just are looking here and we're not expanding our peripheral to take it all in. And I think it's important for people to understand that, because people are constantly thinking that they're not intuitive, and there's messages everywhere. We're just not connecting to the messages because we're so in our head.
Yes. Yes. Which, remember, that being all in our head is somewhat, we're talking in the history of people a long time, that's being in our head and being louder and louder. That's really in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is a new wave where we block out everything else, and go, nope, nope, nope. Instead of, no, we are all connected to this moving, pulsing frequency we're calling life.
Yeah. Well, and that's significant for you to say that and for people to hear, because, we're looking at going into this new transition as something that's never happened before. but we're actually breaking down and going back to the core of who we were. I always laugh about, gosh, I wonder what the cavemen, how did they survive? What was their basis of, of law and order, or,
Yeah, yeah.
because there wasn't any religious indoctrines that they're supposed to be structured in thinking. And again, if you look back at all of the indigenous cultures, how it really is based on being open to the stars, to the sky, and all of the practices of getting connected without any rules or guidelines.
Yes, yes.
So you had just mentioned about prayer. And what I found out, or what I found through my experience with prayer, is that there's a difference in then just saying the words and actually feeling what you're saying. So when you're talking about prayer and calling in your angels through prayer, what's your experience in how to do that, or what the best way of understanding how to pray in a way that can call in that energy?
So, it is going to start in our brain in our thought process. So we're going to have a thought of, angels, I want you more in my life. Angels, I want to develop my own gifts. God, I want to know you more in my life and in my soul, whatever our kind of thought process is. So we have this thought that we want to connect with spirit more, angels, guides, God. And so we're going to think it, but we're also going to breathe it. And so we're going to think the thought up here in our brain, and then we're going to come down into our heart center. And so the brain is a thought that's more like a radar thought, and the heart center is more like an explosion of frequency that surrounds the thought. And so you come that down to that heart center where you're breathing love for just a second. You bring the thought into a frequency field that then elevates the thought to the frequency that the angels have to. Remember, they have to answer the frequency call.
Oh.
So, because of that's the way the universe works, that's the way frequency works. So, when we are getting that frequency of connection to God, angel, spirit, of connection, it starts with a thought, but the energy of passion, of wanting, of desire elevates that to where it's not one spark of a thought, but it's more an energy ball of a call.
Mm, I like that. I like that definition. I didn't know that angels had to answer the.
All frequency matches must be met.
Oh, nice.
All frequency matches. Mhm.
So, okay, well, I'm going to ask this question just because I'm curious. So if it's a really low frequency that I'm putting out there, let's say despair, or I hate myself. The world is a horrible place. I'm the victim. Life is awful. If you're putting out that type of vibration, then what comes to you? Or even if I'm intending to hurt somebody, what does that call in?
Okay, so let's go back. So here's earth plane energy. Here's God energy, light energy. So when we're thinking thoughts like, I'm too fat, no one loves me, I'm depressed, I hate so and so and I want to go smack them, right? All that is earth plane frequency that is really just bouncing in this lower sphere. And so when we begin to play, I think it's like it's playing ping pong down here on this low sphere, right? I'm mad at them and screw them, blah, 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 blah. Now I'm ping ponging out energy, and then this is going to match that and ping pong it back. But that's not a frequency match to the higher realms. So when we're doing that crazy stuff, higher realms are just watching us like, well, are you getting tired of that yet? Well, anytime you decide to quit playing in the low energy, that's good with us. So the angels don't frequency match those things. Those are disconnected, low self thoughts that are only really alive in the low frequency. And when we start to play that, then we're just going to get back those bounces of whatever we're sending out. And so it's an energy match, whatever. But let's just say you are really depressed and blah, 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 blah. In your crazy moment of depression, then you say, God, I need your help. In that crazy, that God, I need your help. From the thought, God, I need your help, to a moment of surrender and call, then you will get a spark, a response, a higher frequency call, but not to the mean thought or the separate thought or the low self thought, but to the moment of help. That moment of help was out of that and was somewhat coming up a little bit, not much, but a little bit, then that's going to get an answer back.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, that was a. I'm glad you brought that up. That's significant. So, and I'm kind of curious of why would people call in the angels? So, can you just kind of give an example of of a time when you've had an experience where you had the angel guidance that had a really big impact on your life, maybe gave direction?
Okay, so in general, remember angels are a light being, and their messages are always to send us in a more light, positive, connected frequency to God. I mean, so that's their goal. And probably the most time that I felt them right present with me was when I was in places around people that were sick or maybe dying or in a bad space, we could say. They weren't well at that time. And so, like, I've gone to the hospital sometimes and did hands on healing with people, or gone to like someone's house before when they were near death. And in these precarious moments, it's almost like the door to spirit is even more open than ever. When a person is in a precarious moment of health or life or whatever we want to say, it's almost like they're in the middle of the mix. And then you can feel spirit like thick there with us, and see them interacting with the person that's sick. And so that's been one of the coolest things. I can't remember about personal for me, but I was in that situation. And and in those moments, like, there's lots of times I'm like crying too, and I'm crying because I can feel their love. Because when the angels are in a room like that, and it's compact for a person or a situation, it's so pliable and it's so thick. You can feel it. And when your body can't process higher frequencies, it cries, because crying is opening pathways for energy to flow through. And so, like, sometimes if I'm doing a reading, if I'm in messages, I'll begin to cry. And then some people are like, whoa, what are you crying for? Are you sad? Or, what's wrong? When I'm with spirit energy, it's always about feeling so alive in that moment. All I want to do is laugh and cry,
Yeah.
laugh and cry.
Yeah.
So in those moments, boy, you can really feel spirit, really feel angels, really feel presence. And it's very cool. It's seductive. And one of the things that I think, and this is just my own personal opinion, Lisa, but I think, on an earth plane, we all crave love. Like, oh my God, I want to get married and I want it to be like a fairy tale. And I read this book and it's going to be like that. And that's what it's going to feel like. I think we're really all collectively remembering and yearning for our connection to God and spirit.
Oh,
And we're trying to play it out in earth plane love, which, as we know, is very dicey because we're all flawed. We all have issues. Even the best partner pisses you off 3 times a day. You know what I mean? And so this memory of this all loving energy that just wraps you and holds you, I think that is God's energy.
yeah.
And we're just all yearning for that and wanting that. And we remember what it's like to be held. We do. We remember what it's like for our soul to be held and just held in God's love and held in God's light. And that's what we're chasing. And that's why we have lots of disasters in love, because then we start to be mad at our partner for not being that perfect expression of God when we're not either. You know what I mean? When we're not either. And so if we can like elevate our love, that God is with us always, and bring that kind of love into relationship love, then we'd all do better.
Well, and it's an interesting concept. I actually really like it. So I'm glad you brought it up, because I can see and I can feel, it's that unconditional love that we know, but
Yes,
we don't know it intellectually. And, being able to connect to that soul's energy that is enveloped in that universal love, that unconditional love that loves us regardless of the good and the bad and what other people see as good and bad, but seeing us for our truth and loving us unconditionally in our perfection,
yes.
to where the human realm may not see it exactly the same way. Yeah, and so I do think that that's a natural state of where we are, and really truly yearning for that beautiful unconditional love that we're searching for on the human realm, when it's not human. It's it's that universal connection that is far beyond what our eyes can see. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Good point. I like that. So because you teach classes, and you have for years and years, is there a common belief or misconception that you find on a regular basis, that or something that's repetitive that people have come up with, that they think that this is the way that it is with the angel realm, but it's actually not exactly the same?
I can't think of anything on that one.
Okay.
Um, but let's talk about, okay, let's talk about, like you said, something like we all have gifts and people, I think when a normal person, what instigates them to come to spirit, I think, and because remember, we're all just little earthlings down here trying to make it. At first, we're enchanted or we get inspired by, oh my God, how could they know all that? Okay, so it's more like this, oh my God, I want to know all that. Instead of, I want to connect with God and angels and spirit more on a frequency level.
Yeah.
So it's these two different ways to see it. But that first way gets them in the door, and then God can start working. So I don't think in the beginning people go, oh, I really want to be closer to God. I want to feel God. I mean, they go, wow, I want to know if I'm going to pay rent this month. You see, a different kind of door opens up, and then they finally figure out, oh, this is all about my innate birth gift of being to know God, connect with God, hear God, see God, feel messages. And then lots of times people will email me or talk to me when I'm at an event, and they'll say something like this, like, oh my God, I saw my dead grandma came to me in a dream, and I want to give medium messages just like you do. What do I need to do? Like, you could just tell them, like, for 5 minutes, do this, and you're there.
It's not easy, isn't it?
And so I think people think like this is, you just do this one little thing and then all this happens.
Mm-hmm.
And growing spiritually on every level is just like going to our grade school, right? So in kindergarten, you have to learn ABCs. And in first grade and second grade, you have to learn to spell cat. And in third grade, you're learning how to add. And in fifth grade, you learn how to multiply. And so it's a process of things that are happening that are getting your brain and your auric field in the right place to connect and know and feel God and to open to your gifts. And so developing and opening up your gifts is a process that you have to have a foundation, and that foundation is meditation. And then from there, we can go to some other classes, the auric field, we can go to hands-on healing, we can go to Reiki, quantum touch. You see, all these things matter. And if you don't do this and you don't add this and add this and add this, then you're not going to have the results you want. And this takes time. It takes time to get through first grade. It takes time to get through 10th grade, 12th grade, college, right? And so once you start on this path, I think maybe TV or this YouTube and all that, like it'll say this: take this one class from me and you're going to be aligned with the angels. Okay, then you take that one class and you still feel the same as you did 30 minutes ago before you took that class. And then you're upset because it didn't quite work for you, or you feel bad now that you weren't connected. It's not one thing that connects you. It's tiny, tiny little things. And then you wake up day number 388 and you go, whoa, I feel it. So it just magically happens after all this ripening is happening in you, this ripening by what you're doing and thinking and acting and being. And then one day your aura just went ding, here we are, here we are. Yeah. So, and now I will tell you, when I was young, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, this was years of education. Yeah. I think now you can probably do a lot of education and frequency changing in 1 to 2 years. I really do. Mm-hmm. But if you think you're going to take one class and magically know and be able to hear and see and all that, that's not the way frequency works, nor energy works, nor education. I mean, so we have to be practical, and we have to say, I'm willing to call God every day for 1 year and see what happens.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, and there's a lot of people that have those classes, that do exactly what you said. And, and I'm somebody, that doesn't know any different and not really understanding the full concept of what our jobs entail or what this gift entails to be able to bring it into fruition. We do think that we can just snap our fingers and here we are. And it's a life journey.
Yes. Sure. Yes. Yeah. And your gifts evolve and evolve. It may start like this, and then now it's doing this and this. And so you're right. It's evolving you and evolving your gifts and evolving how they present. And it's the funnest thing ever. The funnest thing ever. I mean, the journey itself is so amazing and so fun. And then you just want more of it. And I think that's why you keep doing it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, I felt that. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again.
Yeah. Well, I think that that's a really good, the point that you just made, because, when I, going back to when I was looking at the beginning of what I went through, I've been doing this since 2003, but I started in 1996 oh my gosh, I'm having these weird things about intuitive blips of information. And I'm in this massage therapy school and everybody's talking about this intuitiveness and how they channel energy. And so I start buying all the books. How to channel. What's ESP? All of these. I don't even know if anybody says ESP anymore, but you remember when that used to be a thing. All of these things that it's like I'm just grabbing all the books. And when I found out about this lady that offers classes about how to do the Akashic records, I didn't even know what the Akashic records were. I had no idea, but it sounds fun. Sounds cool. Yeah. Why not do it? Because then we can just do it for fun and just see what they have to say. And so I got into this thing, over 21 years ago, thinking I was doing it just for the fun. And then I get into it. And then it's like every day, thank you, universe. I mean, how magnificent you are and how humble I am to be able to have this connection and this divinity that I am and knowing. And so when we're talking really literally about going through these life changes and these perceptions and this understanding of the greater good of literally of all that is, it's magnificent to have this journey. Yeah, it's definitely a process though. But like you said, and I really want to make sure that people understand what you're saying is that this isn't just take one class and you got it.
No.
It does take, and I'm sure you're the same way. Like when I first started doing classes, I was like, oh crap, that message was for me, not for them. And having to learn and figure out, okay, I need to fine tune this just a little bit.
And for me, giving readings, like if I'm giving a reading to someone, there's always a message for me in the reading, always a sneak in, you know what I mean? A sneak
Yeah.
in message. And in the groups, I think most time there's a theme. So, like maybe today's theme was about letting go of fear in the group. Lots of messages were about that. Or so I think, yes, I get personal messages as I'm channeling for others. And I think when we're in groups of people, there's kind of a theme, a frequency theme of the group that kind of comes through. If you listen long enough, you're like, oh, it's that same message, whatever that message was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I found the same thing too. If I do multiple readings in a day, it kind of seems to be like, oh, isn't that interesting? Today, the theme is galactic beings.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Mhm.
Yeah. It's like, how did that come up? This is interesting. It's like, okay, if you guys say so.
We're gonna have to go with it. That's what we do.
Yeah,
We're gonna have to go with it. That's what we got.
exactly, exactly. So, the other thing that I found with, people that are on this journey is that they start craving for community and trying to find like minds. So have you found that a support group is helpful for people that are trying to find their way doing this type of work?
Yes, I agree. Remember, part of that is like if I'm an individual, and remember, I'm trying to get my God column here from this earth plane column. If all my friends and all my family are like this, then they're vibrationally not really helping me or supporting me do this. And the community of our friends or people in meditation class with us, or however we're collecting the people, because they're also trying this, they give you that one little drop of positive, of good, of love to keep in alignment instead of to be separate and distant and separate from God, spirit, all that is. So community helps us align when we're in right community. Exactly the same way it does when we are addicted, right? If I'm an addicted person and I want drugs and alcohol, and so I run around with all the people going to the bars, all the people doing the bars, and I'm running to the bars with them before you know it, because this right here is a big frequency pull. And so if I'm an addict, I have to be new friends who aren't going to the bar, new friends who aren't getting drunk, new friends who want to be sober today. And so I have to start collecting this energy to help me be this, not this, if this is what I've been my whole life. And so getting my spiritual community is helping me rise.
Mm-hmm.
It's helping me get closer to what I want, hope, intend for my soul, instead of further away by the crazies that I've been surrounded with, culture or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's really significant to align yourself with like thinkers and like energy. And I think we were talking about what we're shifting into. It's being put in our face.
Yeah.
We're kind of getting pushed to the energy flow that fits us the best.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
in some ways, that does bring us to that statement of what we feel around us either lifts us up or holds us back.
yeah,
And so when we have the tribe of people who are also wanting more God or more love, or we have the tribe of people who also want more beer, right? Which one do we think is gonna expand me, my God, my light, my love, my future? You know what I mean? Those type of things.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we did kind of talk about steps to start the angel connection, and one of the things that you had mentioned was meditation, and meditation and prayer. So are there some other like specific steps people can take to enhance that connection?
Well, we do need to start with meditation and prayer, and prayers to call them, right? Meditations to receive them, right? To receive and connect with them. And then we have to start working in our auric field. So whether we want to call that hands-on healing, or we want to call that Reiki, or we want to just whatever, we don't even have a word for it. But we have to start channeling and opening to frequencies that are around us, our chakras, our energy body, because 50%, if not more, of our ability to hear and know God is in the auric field. So we have to start playing in the auric field in order to feel and receive and open to the gifts that are already there, but we dulled them down in, about the time we were 5 or whatever. So we dulled it all down and we've got to brighten it back up. And if you do that step, then your feeling in God and spirit is alive, as well as wonderful. But again, I think people think I'm not a feeler, so why would I want to do a healing class? I'm not a healer. I'm not a feeler. I don't feel anything. I'm a brain kind of person. That's the kind of person I am. I'm a thinker. So I like to read a lot of books about God and spirit and connection, but I've really not sat and done it any, right? And so we have to be willing to be like, okay, I am mind and frequency. And if I can get those two things in alignment, then I'm channeling the light of God.
Absolutely. Great. So do you have a final message that you want to share with our listeners?
Well, this morning, Spirit came in and there were 12 angels that came together. These were not my angels. So we have personal angels and we have more like universal angels. And these were just more universal angels. They weren't personal to me. But they did talk about speaking with you today. And they said that they wanted their message to be to all of us is that fear is like the flu. And we catch it. And we catch it by watching the news or by being separate from spirit in our low ego selves. And we have to be able to separate from fear in our personal lives, but also in our culture, in our bigger world, in order to birth the new earth. And so fear, it sometimes immobilizes us. Fear makes us feel small, or that we don't count, or it doesn't matter, or fear seems to take our power. And we have to face that right on, face our low, fearful self with our higher God self that knows that our future is bright, that there is nothing stronger or greater than God, and that God and love will be the victory of this planet, of this universe, and of the entire system.
Yeah.
So fear is a recognition that you're not in alignment. When I am fearful, I'm being like this. I'm down here in this low earth plane, crazy, nutty mindset thought process. So if I'm doing this and that's my sign, I've got to stop and center and breathe love and breathe God and call spirit and do that alignment where faith is stronger than fear.
Yeah.
The angels want us all to move out of fear so that we can birth this new earth that has a place for all of us, that has food for all of us, that has equality for all of us, that has a place for all of us. The new earth is not one, it is all frequencies of God.
Yeah. I like that message. So thank you. Thank you to your angels. What a beautiful message. So you did mention, and I want to make sure that people didn't miss what you said about that you also host spirit fairs, and you do in Oklahoma City and in Tulsa. Are those the only two areas?
Right now, that's correct.
At this point, yeah, because it used to be more. But so at those spirit fairs, not only is it the opportunity to connect with people like us, but you also do a reading for people, a public reading, a gallery is what you
Yes,
call
I
it.
do gallery reading.
Yeah. So just want people to know that you do offer those services. So can you talk a little bit more about what you provide? Because
Okay, so at the spirit fair, it's just like a new age, spiritual, positive environment for us to shop spirit things like crystal stones, pendulums, whatever. And when you shop it, then you can talk to the person who's selling it. So tell me about this. that tell me, how does this pendulum work, or what is this rock for, or what is this tarot deck about, or whatever. So we're going to shop things, but we want to ask questions about these things that we're getting, because if our goal is to align like this, then we want tools to help us do that. So there's shopping and there's hands-on healing, and you just get a healing treatment or Reiki or whatever that's there. And then there's readers, and you might get a reading, and maybe some people want spiritual readings about growth, and some people want earth plane readings about love and money, right? And those are all okay. They're all valid things, because God wants us well, right? If we want to know something, God wants to give us information for our wellest, most right choice and decision. So all those are all good, and they're all there. And then we have a lecture room, a separate room. And in the lecture room, people might talk on a subject, crystal stones, whatever. And then I usually give angel messages group reading one time over the weekend. So at some point in the lecture room, and people can just come in and out of curiosity, right? I wonder what this is about. Or people might come in because they go, well, I feel like my grandma's been around me. I just feel like she's been here, and I want to know what my grandma is talking to me about. So sometimes we come in out of curiosity. Sometimes we come in because we are feeling spirit ourselves, and we just want clarity or something about that. And I always just say, if you end up in that room, then God wanted you there. No matter if she brought me, my best friend drug me in here, or it doesn't matter how you got in the room. If you got in the room, then spirit wants you there. And that there will be, either by calling your name, a message, or just some other message in the room that day, someone speaking to you and saying something. So I believe there are opportunities for spirit to show up and to prove to you that you are connected.
Yeah, I like that. So how can people find you?
The website spiritfair.com.
Okay,
www.spiritfair.com.
awesome. Okay. Well, Cyndy, thank you for this beautiful conversation. I'm so grateful that I got to have this time with you. So thank you.
At least it was
And
fun. But you know what? We could talk like 12 more hours. You know what I mean? We could do a 12-hour God-a-thon or something.
Actually, we could. We just barely scratched the surface today. So anyway, but again, thank you for being here, and for you guys, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Love you. Bye-bye.